So we've already learned something about structs, but there's another thing you need to know about them, and that is that structs can actually have functions associated with them. So right now I have an empty Go project with one file, main.go, and as you can see it just has one empty main function. So let's first of all create a struct. We'll create a type that is a struct, and I'll call it type myStruct of type struct, and we'll give its definition. And it's going to have one field in it, and the field is going to be called first name, and it's of type string. So I've now created that type, so now I can create a variable of that type, and we'll create one, var, we'll call the var myVar. It's of type myStruct. So I've created an empty variable, and now I can assign something to first name just by going myVar.firstName equals John. And that's easy enough. And as you know, I can also create a second variable. So I could create a var myVar2, but I can do it also using shorthand. I can just say myVar2 is assigned the value of, and it's going to be of type myStruct, and we'll just fill out first name. We'll do it all in one step. Create the variable and assign values to its members in one step. And this is a very common shorthand. So I could say first name, and that's going to be equal to Mary. So I've now created myVar2, and I've created myVar. I haven't done anything with myVar2, so there's an error. So let's just print some information out. Log.println myVar is set to, and we'll just print myVar.firstName. And then I can duplicate that line and say myVar2 is set to myVar2 firstName. Now that I've used myVar2, the error goes away. So I can run this, and it'll do exactly what you expect it to do. It'll print out 2 lines of text with the first name from the myVar and the first name from myVar2. So go run main.go, and away it goes. MyVar is set to John, myVar2 is set to Mary. But I can assign a function to this struct, and I can do that really easily. So let's first of all create a new function. Func defines the function, but rather than just giving the function name, which could be something like print first name and return a string, we'll just do it this way first. Well, I have no values to return, so I'd actually have to hard code a string here. But if I put right after the func keyword, in parentheses, some variable name, and then a pointer to the struct in question, myStruct, now I have access to this variable. And what this does, this is called a receiver, and it ties this function to the type of myStruct because I'm using myStruct. A pointer to myStruct here points to this type. And that means I have access to information from myStruct. So I can say return m.firstName. And now this function, or this type, myStruct, actually has a function associated with it. So when I assign the values here, I did it manually, and that's great, and I printed it out this way, but I can also do this. Watch this. I can say myVar dot print first name, and myVar2 print first name. So I'm calling a function that's part of this struct, and the way that the function is tied to that struct is by using this receiver. So if I clear the screen in my terminal and run this, I get exactly the same results, but rather than accessing the member directly, I'm calling a function. Now the good thing about this, of course, is that this function can be far more complex than merely returning the value of a given member. You can perform some business logic in here and have that business logic actually become part of this struct. And that is exceptionally useful, and we'll be using that regularly throughout the remainder of this course.